This is an SWX special sports presentation. Live from McCarthy Athletic Center, the Gonzaga Bulldogs take on the West Georgia Wolves. SWX College Basketball starts right now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to believe, but another Gonzaga basketball season is upon us now. It is game number one, just an exhibition game, live tonight from the McCarthy Athletic Center. The West Georgia Wolves, a Division II team, in the house to play the 13th-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs. It is a pleasure to see everyone again. The Kennel Club is ready. I'm Greg Heister, along with Mr. Dickow and Mr. Fox. And gentlemen, here we are again. It's like you never left.
It's not. Coming off the season where Gonzaga had their ups and downs, but ultimately getting back to the Sweet 16 and finishing the season off at 28-8. Heck of a season last year.
Yeah, one of the great runs in this program's history. From on the bubble, squarely on the bubble, to a couple minutes away from the Elite Eight. What a tremendous transition there in March.
And guys, a lot of new players, a lot of new faces. It's going to take some time to build team.
Well, Gonzaga had a very limited rotation, in particular in the NCAA tournament. Played 6 players is all against Syracuse, but they have 8 newcomers on this basketball team. Grad transfers, and freshmen. Oh, and by the way, you could add one more newcomer to the mix, but he's really a familiar face.
Yeah, that's Simic Karnowski, you know, with all the hype and the excitement for these 8 new players. You look at Simic Karnowski, last year only 5 games, out with the back injury. The year before was first team All-League. You see what he does in the NCAA tournament, 12 points, a little over 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. He's a dynamic player on both ends, but particularly defensively. His help is going to go a long way to where this team's going to go in March.
The Big Sheminator. Ladies and gentlemen, the journey begins tonight in Spokane. The 2016-2017 Gonzaga Bulldogs have rolled it out on the floor. The Wolves of West Georgia in town. Tonight's starting lineups in the tip-off when we come back.
Do you like me?
And welcome back to the McCarthy Athletic Center now. And time for tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by the Numerica Credit Union. Zag fans, show your Bulldog pride with your Go Zags debit card only at Numerica. And first for West Georgia, Steph Branch, one of the best players in their league, along with Karan Briggs, Willie Evans, Shannon Fowler, and Ivan Sachik. This is a team that has 3 starters from a year ago. They won their league. This is a senior-laden team for head coach Michael Cooney, who has Spokane ties big time. We'll be talking a lot about that throughout this game. Now in his 10th season as the head coach of the Wolves, and a darn good coach. And for Gonzaga, the starting lineup looks like this: Nigel Williams-Goss, Jordan Matthews, Silas Melson, Jonathan Williams, Simic Karnowski. We will not see Josh Perkins tonight, nor next week. He's sitting out for 2 games due to the legal issues that he had a few weeks ago. So Mark Few now, guys, has a chance to see and to get a lot of these new faces in the lineup quickly as he begins his 18th season.
Well, you look right away at that starting lineup for tonight. 4 guys that didn't play minutes last year. You could count 3 if you really want to count Simic Karnowski, but 3 transfers in: Jonathan Williams, Nigel Williams-Goss, and Jordan Matthews. That's going to be the key this year, is to blend things quickly and efficiently. We'll find out how it's going today.
I think that's the challenge for Mark and the staff is, you know, all 3 of those transfers that are playing this year were very, very important pieces, if not the guy at their previous institution. So how do they blend those, not only their talents, but their egos? You know, who's going to be the guy looking to take the shot late in the game or late in the shot clock, late in the possession? You know, for a guy like Williams, is he going to be, you know, happy just getting touches, a secondary player? I mean, there's a lot of questions, I think. Despite all the talent, they've got to find a way to put it all together.
And tonight's keys to the game brought to you by Northern Quest Resort and Casino. Dan, what do you think?
Again, for Gonzaga, get the newcomers comfortable. We talked about it in the open. 8 newcomers, 9 if you include Simic, but these newcomers, they're very versatile, they're very talented. They come from different backgrounds, one being a grad transfer from Cal and Jordan Matthews. 2 other very high-level transfers in Nigel Williams-Goss and Jonathan Williams III out of Power 5 conferences. But then you look at this freshman class. We will talk a lot about that freshman class. tonight for sure. They're headlined by a McDonald's All-American, Gonzaga's first McDonald's All-American straight out of high school.
And Richard, I know it's a whole different level, but when you talk about trying to blend this team with a lot of great players, Mark Few is good friends with Billy Donovan, the head coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Coach Donovan is dealing with that on the NBA level. Now Coach Few dealing with it here. It's not a lot different.
Well, the idea of depth and having depth is a real luxury. But when you look at what they did last year against Syracuse, 6 players played.
Yes.
When you start getting deeper into the season, that rotation tightens. And when you get into the tournament, you often only go 6, 7 deep. So having this depth is a real luxury, but it'll be interesting to see who kind of rises up. It takes a hold of that starting lineup group, and also who's going to be that first guard off the bench.
And ultimately, Dan, do you want the rotation down to 7 or 8 players, or can you deal with 10 all year?
How's my volume, guys?
No, ideally, when you get into the postseason type play, down the stretch of conference play, into the conference tournament, you would hope that it's at 8, and if something happens foul trouble-wise, you have a lot of confidence in your 9th and 10th guys. That's preferably. But with Gonzaga and the depth and the versatility with the roster this year, they could legitimately go 10 deep.
Because, Richard, he's not going to lose much. From 1 to 10, regardless of who he brings in, there isn't going to be a lot of drop-off. A lot of competition for minutes.
Yeah, it's one thing to have 10 guys who can play, but it's one thing when you take one guy out and it's really an equal level that's coming in off your bench. I mean, you look at in your backcourt, Alberts, Melson, and Norvell, pardon me, all 3 of those guys can do something that's good enough to get them on the starting lineup. And then you look at Collins coming off the bench, he's a starting level big in college. So they've got a lot of depth, but a lot of quality depth, to your point.
And you can already tell that there's a lot of energy in this building. Just an exhibition game. Season really doesn't start till next week. But it's an important game tonight for the coaching staff, Dan, just to begin the assessment process, right? You don't really know what you have until you see him play.
No, the Gonzaga fans have been spoiled to a certain extent over the years when they've had returning teams with a lot of experience. This team has some experience, in particular with guys like Shemek Karnowski, Nigel Williams-Goss when he was at Pac-12 UW school, but they don't have collective experience together. That's what's going to have to be gained early in the season, and you don't get that through practices. You get that through trial by fire in game atmospheres, and this is the first opportunity this year, even though it's against a Division II opponent. But I tell you what, in talking to Coach Cooney before the game, his players are excited. They're ready to go. Stephon Branch, Shannon Fowler, they have been looking forward to this game for quite some time.
And Richard, over the last several years, Mark Few's had a lot of depth at the front line positions. He could go 5, 6 guards deep with this team. I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch this evolve.
I mean, you wouldn't think it when you lose 2 NBA players in Wilcher and Stefanos that your front line's probably just as effective and just as deep. It's the perimeter players in that depth. They've got 6 guys in that backcourt that all play at a high level.
And they've got size that Gonzaga's backcourt, frankly, has never had.
Yeah.
And Shem Karnowski out there for the opening tip. We haven't seen him play a game for Gonzaga since Game 5 a year ago. Of course, that back injury ended his season. And he earned the medical in the opening tip, won by the Wolves, and the lay-in there by Karan Briggs, a senior out of Buffalo, New York. And Coach Cooney told us this team will not play afraid tonight.
Well, they're not going to play afraid, but that's just a mental lapse off the tip there from Gonzaga.
There's William Goss, and now Matthews into the corner to Silas Melson, now a junior for Mark Few. The drive, he hangs, missed. Williams, the putback, and Gonzaga's on the board.
And that's what he does right there. He is relentless on the offensive glass. At Missouri, averaged 17 points, 7 rebounds a game in the SEC.
And 2.5 offensive rebounds. He gets a lot of second chance opportunities for himself and for his team.
This is Steph Branch, averaged 14 points a game a year ago. He misses his first attempt, and Melson with it. Now Karnowski. Williams-Goss lines up the 3. That's long. Long rebound, though, back to Matthews.
It's like Karnowski tipped that out. Heads-up play.
Karnowski. Again from 3. Williams-Goss.
It's a breakdown for West Georgia. You see right away, this is a long team, a long Division II team. They've got good athleticism right there. They just got mixed with their signals. You can't leave Goss alone like that beyond the three-point line.
Oh, nice finish there by Ivan Sajic out of Serbia. And West Georgia within a point. Karnowski, left-hand jump hook. The big fella.
I expect Gonzaga to go inside early and often to Shemek, kind of get those cobwebs out, get him comfortable again on that low block.
This is Shannon Fowler. Now he backs up and shoots over Karnowski. And there's a rebound by a guard, Dan. We should see a lot of rebounds by these guards for Gonzaga this year. Melson in transition to three.
That is a great sign. Silas Melson knocking down the three, but more importantly, a quick trigger catch and shoot three, playing with a lot of confidence. But Greg, you're right. Nigel Williams-Goss averaged 15, 5 rebounds, 5 assists as a point guard at UW. He can really change the game.
Stripped by Williams, loose ball out of bounds, and it stays with the Wolves. And Richard, if there's been one Achilles heel, it seems like on the national stage for Gonzaga over these years, it's the lack of big guards.
Yes.
Mark Few has that this year, doesn't he?
He's always had great skill, guys who really know how to play, but it's nice when you can pair that up with some length and some athleticism. Really 6 deep in that backcourt as you get the foul there on Melson, I believe. That athleticism is going to really bode well for them. The deeper they get in the tournament, when you play some of these teams like Arizona.
That's our first foul of the game.
I'm not sure whose top back I'm getting here, guys.
And Dan, you've loved the evolution of Silas Melson during his time here at GU.
He's a guy that's had his obvious ups and downs, struggled especially early last season in shooting the basketball. But he's a guy that's really stuck with the process and really believed in what Coach Few and his staff are preaching and teaching. They thought he had a phenomenal offseason. He slightly adjusted mechanics to his shot, and they feel he's had as good a fall as anybody else on this program. Now, that might not translate into double-figure scoring, but the reliability factor from him and the coaching staff being really comfortable with him in the game, I think is going to show.
And Melson with the ball there, got it to Karnowski. Here's Williams-Goss. Got himself into trouble. Ball is stripped. And this is Evans with it for the Wolves. Four-point game in Spokane. Branch ducks in. No basket. Offensive foul. Called on Steph Branch. That's his first, team's first.
See, a nice move, but gets the left arm out, hooks it around Melson's waist.
Melson again left open, another three. That one rattles out. And rebounded by Shannon Fowler. And he'll take it right at Karnowski. Too hard. Rebounded by J3, Jonathan Williams. Matthews transition three. That's off the front of the rim. Rebounded. Nigel Goss is up and good.
Right off the bat, though, you're seeing the versatility of this Gonzaga team. Jonathan Williams III gets it off the defensive glass, pushes it himself in transition, and the luxury of a point guard with size. Nigel Williams-Goss cleaning it up on the offensive glass.
Goss already with a couple of rebounds, and out of control there is Branch, but he's bailed out by the personal foul. Gonzaga with 7 second chance points already. And gentlemen, one of the most highly touted players that Mark Few has ever landed just checked in, Zach Collins. What do we know? You guys like him?
McDonald's All-American, great size, good athleticism, big-time wingspan. A guy who they feel can play alongside Shemek Karnowski at times. Frankly, when they recruited him, they thought Shemek would be graduated. He's got an unbelievable opportunity to learn under Shemek this year and really prepare himself for next year and the years to come, but I still think he's going to have a big part of Gonzaga's season.
Legal play here. Branch runs it down. Brian Elbert's number 10 also checked into the game for Gonzaga. Silas Melson goes out. Collins patrolling inside. Dylan Dupree, number 11, in there with him. Dupree with the ball now. Shoot it over Collins. That's long. Tip back up and good. What a great tip by Aaron Ulmer. Number 20, his first bucket. How did he get it up in there? He's 6 feet tall. Here's Matthews. Collins will shoot it. That's off. Branch with the rebound, outlet near side to Aaron Cameron, number 4, on a Sacramento. And there's a travel. Turnover. 15:03 to play. First half in Spokane. Nigel from 3. Gonzaga leads by 4.
5, 4, 3.
Gonzaga Hoops is brought to you by Northern Quest Resort and Casino. Zag fans, Northern Quest is your ultimate destination for fun. Experience true Vegas-style gaming. Stay in a luxurious hotel, see a spectacular show, and eat in the finest restaurants, all under one roof. Visit northernquest.com today to learn more. And welcome back to the McCarthy Athletic Center. Gonzaga with an early 12-8 lead against the West Georgia Wolves. They are out of the Gulf South Conference, champions of that conference in 2016. 3 of the 5 starters back for head coach Michael Cooney. And Williams Goss with the ball to Collins. Williams flashes inside. This is Brian Alberts. Loose ball, tough pass there. Branch throws it off of Williams, and it's Wolves basketball. Turnover number 2 for GU.
My apologies, Ray. You see immediately what they're trying to do with this line. If they want to get the ball to Williams either via the high-low or out there on the wing, he needs to do a little bit better job letting the ball come to him. Don't release too early. But as a guard there, you know this, Dan, you've got to get the ball to him. He's got good position.
And Branch went right at Collins that time. Draws the foul. He'll shoot free throws, but I tell you what, Steph Branch at 6'3" went right at the footer.
He did. Coach Cooney said they weren't going to be afraid of the moment of the situation. They were going to attack and they were going to play their style of basketball. But to touch on the point that Richard just made about sealing in the post and post entries, it's a two-way street. As a guard, you have to trust that the big is going to seal the defense off. You also, as a big, have to give a target. As a guard, if you don't have a direct angle, you must use a dribble, an escape dribble, improve your angle, and deliver the ball to the post away from the defense, leading them into a shot.
That was the first foul on Collins, team's 3rd. I tell you what, Coach Cooney may have been the most excited guy in this entire building about this game tonight. It's a homecoming. He grew up in Spokane, went to Gonzaga. He's been dreaming of this matchup for years, and he gets it tonight.
He went to high school at Gonzaga Prep. He was actually a student manager for this Gonzaga basketball team under the great coach Dan Fitzgerald. He's really excited to be back here, that's for sure.
And there he is there. And, of course, the only Coonies I know from the TV commercials here in town. There's a law firm, and those are cousins of his.
Oh, okay.
And his family's been involved in this program in many ways, the Gonzaga program, in many ways for a couple of decades or more. Long time. In fact, he came home to Priest Lake this summer, brought his 3 kids with him. Here's Collins. The double team there has trouble with it, lost the handle, but he's fouled.
But this is good for Zach Collins to see a double early in his college career. I'm sure he saw double teams throughout his high school career being dominant, but much different at the college level as opposed to the high school level, getting doubled, having to make quick decisions.
Matthews is long on that shot, rebounded by Cameron. Cameron on the move right at Nigel Goss, threw it in the corner. Here's a 3, and that's off by Ulmer, and we have another whistle and a foul against West Georgia. And I believe this is on Dylan Dupree, the senior out of Gray, Georgia, number 11. He's big, 6'9", 245-pounder. Williams Goss. Collins, 7 on the shot clock. Here's Williams. Ducks in, left hand is good. I love that kid's game, gentlemen.
Oh, he's going to have a tremendous year. He's gotten bigger, really took advantage of the weight room over his redshirt year, and really grew. His game grew. He solidified his jump shot out to 15, 18 feet, but more than anything, that post game is a lot tighter, a lot more dynamic than it was while he was at Missouri.
Moore's shot is way off, and Williams the rebound. Williams with his 4th rebound to go along with 4 points. And Collins now goes to work. And there's another foul called on Dupree, his 2nd, and Collins will shoot free throws.
And it should be noted, this is the first real game-like situation anybody for both teams has had a chance to play. So there's this first half in particular, you're pushing your conditioning, you're finding a new level of running up and down the floor, and I think in particular for the freshmen, it's even more challenging.
And the first point there for Collins. As Williams goes out of the game, and he's replaced by Killian Tilly, a freshman out of France. And gentlemen, he's thinly built, but skilled. And I think this kid's going to be really good at Gonzaga.
Another gem that Tommy Lloyd, master recruiter, has found over in Europe. Gets to come over here to GU and be a part of the European connection. But what you'll find with him is a high basketball IQ, great hands, and understanding the game that really does not show his years.
And there you saw the offensive rebound by Tilly.
Well, he's got a great nose for the ball. I mean, you look at his family's background. His brother on the national team this past summer in Rio. His father coached the French national team in Rio. His mother is a Hall of Fame level player for the Netherlands in volleyball, and his brother played at Utah. I mean, this is a family that has, grown up around sport, and you just saw it on the offensive rebound. Goes up with 2 hands, just has a nose for the ball, knows where it's going. He's a good athlete. As he starts to fill out, Greg, I think you touched on it, he's just thin right now and not quite strong enough, but as he starts to put on some weight, he's a really versatile piece. I think he's skilled enough and athletic enough to play the 3 for you, maybe not for long stretches, but for periods of time. And then defensively, he gives you a lot of versatility.
And I think he has the potential out of this recruiting class to have the largest impact at Gonzaga.
Wow.
That shot off the rim, rebounded by Nigel Goss. And there's the foul on Aaron Ulmer. And Zach Norvell also on the floor for GU, another freshman for head coach Mark Few.
Take a look at the ability to contest from the weak side there by Killian Tilly, but Zach Norvell Jr., as you mentioned, checking into the game.
Collins the rebound off the miss. Shot is blocked in there by number 5, Cameron Blakely. It goes out of bounds. It remains with GU, but give Blakely credit. He stood up against Collins.
Collins isn't used to guys bodying him up, let alone meeting him at the rim. That time, shot was blocked.
There's Nigel Goss with it. Right to the post. Collins ducks in and scores.
He gets right into the move. Just one dribble, turns over to his strong shoulder. And that's we've talked about it year after year with some of the talent they've had inside. It just takes some time to slow the game down as a big and let the game come to you. It's not going to take Zach very long.
Albert stays with it. Alberts has got to throw that up to the rim. 11 second chance points for the Zags, though, and they lead early 19-8 against West Georgia. 11:59 to play first half. Here's the future star for GU, Zach Collins, with 3 points. Tonight's fan trivia question brought to you by Arby's. Come into Arby's new fajita flatbreads today. Try them with Angus steak or slow-cooked chicken. How many times have the Zags reached the Sweet 16? 9, 6, 4, or 7? Text your answer to 27297. You better know that, Dan.
I'll be honest. Some of those Zag trivia questions stump me.
Well, I don't know. I'm not shocked.
I was waiting for a comment from you.
I gave you one. I'm not shocked. Here's Alberts. Quick three, in and out. Norvell got a fingertip on it, but lost it out of bounds. Gonzaga controlling the boards at this point. 13 rebounds to 4 for West Georgia.
And Dan, I'm interested to hear what you think about this year's group. What's the level, the potential for this team on this end of the floor defensively? You look at last year's team, for all the struggles and the fact they were on the bubble and the lack of real depth. Now that's the first team that I can remember, as you get the dunk there on the baseline, the first team I can remember that held teams under 30% from three. Does this group have that type of ability?
I think they will, and the reason why is their backcourt has such length and the ability to be versatile, whether it's switch, whether it's down pick and rolls, trap pick and rolls, really kind of create confusion for the other team on the offensive end. But Nigel Williams there just miscommunicated with Killian Tilly. We'll get a second chance to take a look at this nice backdoor cut. Steph Branch, West Georgia with the finish above the rim. But, you know, it was impressive last year to see them force opponents into a 30% field goal percentage from the three-point line.
Tilly on the defense, but nice finish there by Ivan Sajik. Norvell open three from the wing. Tilly the rebound. Collins into the corner. Alberts another look. That one won't go. Tell you what, this Steph Branch can play for West Georgia.
I tell you what, you see Tilly just has he's as instinctual a rebounder as I've seen in a long time. As Goss gets himself another rebound.
Norvell, lay in. You gotta love that point guard play there, Dan.
Oh, great job attacking in transition. The defense commits. Make the simple, easy play. Let Zach Norvell get his first 2 points as a Gonzaga Bulldog.
And Nigel Williams-Goss already 4 assists to go with 5 points and 4 rebounds.
And I would not be surprised to see Nigel Williams-Goss average 7 or 8 assists a game this season. At UW, he averaged 5 assists, but he was hamstrung at times because he was relied upon to do so many things. This Gonzaga team has many more weapons than those UW teams had.
Feed the post, they go right at Tilly, and you see the defense there. Great shot block, again, goes out of bounds. But a foul called on GU.
You just see Tilly's ability. You know, we talked about how thin he is, and it's, you know, as you start to increase the level of competition, he's going to struggle against, you know, real Division I size. But he has just tremendous instincts around the ball, both on the glass. There you see it defensively. You can't coach those things. Either a kid has it or they don't, until he has it in spades.
This is Shannon Fowler, a senior out of Long Beach, California, at the free throw line. 5 team fouls now against GU with 9:56 to play first half.
Nope.
One of 2. 8-point game. That's Connor Jean, number 23, defending. Williams-Goss, and now Norvell back to Williams-Goss. And taken from behind by Branch, and then Nigel picks up the personal foul. I tell you what, this Steph Branch for West Georgia, playing well at both ends of the floor.
Well, he's unbelievably athletic, that's for sure. And Coach Cooney said in pregame that you're going to have a good time watching this kid play because he's a high flyer. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, and he believes he could have played at a high Division I level if given an opportunity.
Backdoor cut again, and Karnowski with the block, but he knocks Branch to the floor. No call. Williams-Goss at the other end, the left-hand lay-in. And again, Karnowski going for the ball. Shot away. Gonzaga on the move. Matthews to Tilly. Double team, back out to Matthews. 3-point shot, good.
But Richard has fallen in love with Killian Tilly
No, I
in
have
the first
too.
couple possessions, but that
He's
right
awesome.
there shows his high IQ. Sees a little bit of a dig down. The defense turns his head. Unselfish enough to kick it out to the open shooter, and Jordan Matthews.
Karnowski. Well, when I see that double team to the post, kick out to the open shooter, I think that's how this program's made their money over the years.
Well, they started
Inside
out
out.
as guard U. Over the years, they've become very dominant with their big men as Zach Norvell gets it going from three-point range.
And a timeout on the floor. 8:34 to play first half. Gonzaga's starting to find a rhythm now. Well, 8 Zags have scored. Time now for Gonzaga's Hoops play of the game, brought to you by Rockwood Health Systems. And there's the block by Karnowski. And then the transition. Rockwood Health System, Deaconess Hospital, Valley Hospital, and Rockwood Clinic working together for you.
It could maybe possibly have been a foul. What do you think, Rick?
Well, we've seen it from about 3 angles now, and it looked like a foul. No matter what angle you look at.
Exhibition for everyone.
We come into the season thinking that it's possible we could see games with 70 or 80 fouls because of the rule changes. And this whole talk about the cylinder and not being able to encroach at all really on the offensive player. We haven't seen that so far in this game.
Bottom line is they've been trying to clean up this game for some time as far as hand checking, as far as how you can take a charge, all of these things. At the end of the day is athleticism is great, but skilled athleticism will always trump it.
And GU on a 10-1 run. They've scored 10 points in the last minute and 39 seconds. And Williams Goss goes out of the game. Silas Melson back in. Jonathan Williams in there as well. Branch. And Williams left-hand shot, short, rebound Norvell, and Williams controls it. Silas needs some help. Oh, almost a steal there. Matthews from the corner, he's got another one. There's a fall away that finds the bottom of the basket by Willie Evans. If you notice, but the rotation on his shot looked like the moon. Karnowski, left hand.
And that's going to be the dynamic as Shemek starts to continue to round into shape. He's still heavier than he'd like to be, but much improved from where he was this summer. As he starts to get in better shape, he's going to force teams to double down. He really provides that dynamic. He's the only one inside for GU that's going to force teams to come down and double, and he's such a good passer. It's going to open up a lot of three-point opportunities for GU's backcourt.
That ball poked away from behind by Norvell. Here's Matthews. That one's way off. Williams the rebound. And new clock. And Karnowski now asking the team to slow it down. Let's set something up.
This is an interesting lineup here. You don't have a guard, a point guard rather. And that'll be the luxury when you have Josh Perkins back from his suspension, is you can keep a point guard out there on the floor for 40 minutes.
Karnowski threw a shoulder right into Shannon Fowler, but nobody interested in calling fouls maybe. And there's the layup at the other end by Aaron Cameron, number 4.
To put it bluntly, as awful as that finish was by Shemek Karnowski on the offensive end, Gonzaga's defensive transition was nowhere to be found there.
Karnowski calling for it. And now a foul called inside against West Georgia. Shem needs a break right now, I can tell. This is what Jordan Matthews does best. From the corner. Matthews was 6. Gonzaga up early. And welcome back. Time now for the answer to our Arby's trivia question. How many times have the Zags reached the Sweet 16? The answer was Zags 7 times. Of course, the last 2 years they've been there. 2 years ago, the Elite Eight. The guy sitting to my left, Dick Gow and Fox, both made Sweet 16 runs.
Tell you what,
it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It's a heck of a lot of fun. And, you know, I think this Gonzaga program was kind of feeling the heat of being considered one of the elite programs, yet they couldn't get back into that Sweet 16 for quite some time. And then back-to-back years, Elite Eight and then Sweet 16 has really kind of validated this program once again on a national level. Not that they completely fell off, but a lot of people were really kind of doubting, well, they're still from the WCC. You must prove it in the NCAA tournament, and they've done that the last 2 years.
Richard, do you keep Shemek Karnowski into this game just to get conditioning? I mean, he doesn't need skill. Well, of course, he's coming on now as I say that. But you really want to get him tired in this game, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's helpful. You can't really simulate this. There's the crowd, the energy, playing against somebody you're not familiar with. So I think these reps are important, particularly when you're trying to come back. I mean, look, he feels good physically. It's just a matter of dropping some weight, getting accustomed to the speed of the game again. But you can see that the talent's still there. I mean, that skill doesn't leave you as a big. He's never been a guy who's relied heavily on his athleticism anyway. So the skill piece will come back really quick.
Pick and roll there, but Fowler unable to finish, but he will shoot free throws as Gonzaga picks up their 8th team foul with 5:44 to play first half. This one on Matthews, his first.
Well, Greg, we've touched a little bit about, some of the experience levels of guys not necessarily used to the system here or used to playing with each other. That was a great example of it. Zach Collins did a really good job hedging on the pick and roll, attempting to get back, but his help coming from the weak side was not there in time. Jonathan Williams III picks up that foul just because he was slightly late.
I think everybody presumes that when you have these many new faces, that it's the offensive end that takes time. And there's definitely some truth to that where, you've got to settle into the role. Maybe what was a good shot for you the year before or at the school before has changed. But it's difficult to get 8 new players dialed in quickly into what you're trying to do defensively. And I think you can see tonight that there's still some adjustments that have to be made on that end of the floor.
For sure. And you take a look at, Jordan Matthews, who's going to play a vital role with this team. Grad transfer from Cal. Well, this is his 3rd head coach in college. He played for Mike Montgomery, he played for Konzo Martin, and now Coach Few. Yeah, they have similar fundamental bases, but other things are different.
Here's Collins again, though. Strip took too long to make his move, Richard. And at the other end, no shot, no whistle. Ball goes out of bounds, and it belongs to Gonzaga. Aaron Cameron unable to get the ball to the rim.
Look, it's just going to take Zach some time. When I say time, 2 weeks maybe. I mean, the kid is that good. But, it's about getting deep in position. Right there, he's letting the defender dictate where he's going to get the ball. He needs to do a little bit more work early to establish that position. And he's so long. A turnaround jump shot from 12 or 13 feet is just as good as a 10-foot hook. Sometimes when you're a young player, particularly on the low block, you use that first dribble as kind of a security blanket. It helps you gather yourself. But at this level, that's often a liability.
I think he's willing to put in the time. He's willing to learn from what the coaching staff has said. And I think those things that you just mentioned will be quick fixes.
Williams posting up, wanting it. Here's Collins, a little high-low, nice catch. Ducks in against 2 defenders. And Jonathan will shoot free throws. Love the strength of him down there on that play.
Well, you mentioned the high-low play there. That's been a staple of Gonzaga over the years. And, to see the fact that they're really emphasizing that right now is great, because if you look at last year's team, that might have been the best high-low combination between Domas and Kyle Wiltshire that this program has ever seen. Are they going to have that efficiency from these bigs this year? It's hard to say, but you can tell that it's been a point of emphasis early in this game.
And guys, you got to love Jonathan Williams. Of course, the transfer from the University of Missouri, but he's got one of those great motors. He's very athletic, loves to go after the ball on both ends of the floor.
He plays hard. What I like about him, he plays hard, and he's got a meanness to his game he goes after the ball really aggressively on both ends of the floor on the glass. Offensively, he's got so much more confidence despite the success he had in Missouri this year.
Matthews getting after Briggs there, goes out of bounds, and possession remains with West Georgia. They get him. Yeah, they called a foul on Matthews, didn't they?
Looked to me for a second like Briggs was going to take your seat here, Greg.
Yeah, he was coming right over here. That's 2 on Matthews. I'd have caught him. I was ready. I didn't even flinch. Did you notice?
You take the charge.
I would have taken the charge. For this team with Dick Gow and Fox, I'd take a charge.
Something tells me I'd be all alone.
I'd be right there behind you, Fox. Matthews at the rim. Briggs lines up the 3. That's off. Williams the rebound.
This is what he can do.
Ooh, tough pass by Collins.
That's a lot to ask for Collins to catch that pass, but that's what he can do off the defensive glass. Is he can get the rebound, he can start your break. He's not a playmaker in the traditional sense of the word, but he really gets your break going quickly. I think that's a nice little piece to have there defensively.
He can push the break, but you've got to do it in a controlled manner. As Nigel Williams-Goss there turns the corner on the pick and roll, and there's absolutely no hedge there by West Georgia. The Red Sea parted.
Williams-Goss now with 9 points. They try to throw it to the rim, but Collins patrolling in there. Williams-Goss now in transition. And this will belong to West Georgia when we come back. 3:39 to play first half. Gonzaga leading at 42-20. Nigel Williams-Goss doing everything for Gonzaga right now. There's 2 of his 9 off the backboard. Gonzaga Hoops is brought to you by Northern Quest Resort and Casino. Zag fans, Northern Quest is your ultimate destination for fun. Experience true Vegas-style gaming, stay in a luxurious hotel, see a spectacular show, and eat in the finest restaurants all under one roof. Visit northernquest.com today to learn more. And welcome back to the McCarthy Athletic Center. And here is our first look at Rui Hachimura, a freshman, 6'8", 225 pounds out of Sendai, Japan.
A kid that just absolutely oozes potential. He reminds me a little bit of a young Giannis Antetokounmpo with the Milwaukee Bucks with his athleticism and versatility.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Yeah, God bless you.
Yeah.
You don't follow basketball?
I know the Greek Freak. I don't know who you're talking about.
That's who it is.
I know, I'm teasing. I think Rue's...
I thought you were going to say Rony Turioff or somebody.
No, his game is completely different than Rony.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Look, Rue has as much talent as I've seen in an 18-year-old. It's going to take some time. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to redshirt him, give him a year, let the game come to him, get a little bit stronger. But I think there's a role for him this year if they want to play him.
Completely agree. I think there's a few things that are going to be a struggle for him, namely the communication aspect.
There you see some seniors working together there for West Georgia.
And it's interesting with Rue, he understands a lot more than he's able to verbalize. So he can receive the information, but when asked to communicate, that's where he struggles as Goss gets fouled on the low block.
That's a luxury that Gonzaga, I don't think, has ever had at the point guard position outside of maybe Matt Bolden. Having the ability to have your point guard see a mismatch and back somebody down and put a team in foul pressure.
Bolden was really good on the block.
He was. Great passer, too.
He had to have been. If he's a Gonzaga player from Colorado, you were another one.
They don't get bad ones, boys.
Oh,
coming up from Colorado, you can play. I'll tell you right now.
Just heavy feet.
Big time talent.
Elbert picks up the loose ball, up to Hachimura. Rui can't finish, loose. Collins with it, and he dumps it through.
Love the fact that Collins is running down the floor, not expecting and anticipating the make.
Fowler can't finish at the other end for the Wolves. And with 2 minutes, 30 seconds to play first half, Gonzaga back in business. On offense, Williams-Goss has it stripped, got it back to Alberts. And that's long. And a foul.
It's like Collins inside.
Inside, yeah. Collins picks up his second personal foul. And that is 10 now on GU.
That's a good foul, though. You know, with the depth that we are preaching that Gonzaga has in their front court, they have that luxury. Go to the offensive glass, create havoc. Last year with a limited rotation, they could not afford to get Kyle Wilcher or Domas Sabonis in foul trouble.
Branch with his 10th point of the game. Only he and Williams-Goss into double figure scoring. Branch, though, 3 of 8 from the floor, 4 of 6 from the line, make it 5 of 7. And it's a 19-point GU lead. Rui. West Georgia does a good job defending the post. Williams-Goss inside. Chance for 3.
So patient with the ball. It's very difficult to speed him up, and it's very difficult to keep him from his spot. He knew exactly where he wanted to go, about 8 feet in front of the rim, took his time, isn't rushed at all. It's the defender fly, leave his feet. It's difficult. You don't see that patience from a point guard very often.
Williams-Goss, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Shot from the corner way off by Joseph Moore, a freshman out of Long Beach, California.
Obviously,
and a foul called there against West Georgia. That's their 10th, and now Williams-Goss back at the free throw line.
West Georgia in the double bonus. A smart point guard understands that, recognizes it. When a defender is in an opportunity to be put in foul pressure, they take advantage. That time, Nigel Williams-Goss draws the foul in the backcourt. Smart play.
And that's number 3 on Steph Branch. So we've seen the last of him this first half for West Georgia. Dustin Triano, number 55, getting ready to check in for Gonzaga. Williams-Goss with 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists.
Well, the luxury with Williams-Goss is, every night the rebounding and the assists are going to be there. He's solid defensively. You can have a guy who's a stopper per se, but he's excellent inside that team concept as Rue gets the block from the weak side. But when you're in a pinch and you need a bucket, Goss can go get that for you as well.
And as a freshman, that's what Ronny Turioff brought to the floor. Trying to score at the other end. And this is a foul against GU, and that's on Rui. That's his first, team's 11.
Well, he did a good job working the baseline, finding open areas, just didn't go up strong and quickly. It's one of those adjustments that he's going to have to make coming over from Japan. Obviously, the level of basketball at his age in Japan, not very high. One of only 5 players in the history of Japan to play college basketball. So he has a heck of an adjustment, but Gonzaga coaching staff has really liked what they've seen in the last 2 months.
Ivan Sejcik out of Serbia, short on that first shot. But you guys both played with Ronny as a freshman.
I think
it was all
about,
tip jams or deflections at the defensive end, and then he would struggle at the offensive end unless it was a gimmick.
Yeah, I think the difference is as much information as Ronny had to process when he came over, it can't compare to what Rue's trying to process in real time.
Well, Ronny spoke English.
Yes, and I think for Rue, he's clearly thinking more than he's playing. And once he can get past that, he's got a lot of these same abilities as Zach gets the and one, as Ronny did as a freshman.
Zach Norvell Jr., the freshman out of Chicago, showing some game.
Not just out of Chicago, out of one of the best high school programs out of Chicago. Simeon produced Derrick Rose, Jabari Parker. He's a guy that is not afraid to go up against anyone, anywhere. And that's something that I think this program needs from that wing position.
Well, I think, don't get it wrong. Zach's the big-time talent.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that is a huge get for this program. I know Collins got a lot of the press. Rue's kind of a mystery, so everyone's interested to see what he's like. You get the offensive rebound for West Georgia. Dupree gets the putback. Zach's as good a perimeter player as they brought in here in a long, long time.
He's a guy that just makes scoring look easy.
And there's a foul on Rui. Picks up number 2. He was over the back. Got to earn that position early.
He does, and that's something that he will learn. But to go back to talking about Zach Norvell for a quick second, he's a guy that is still just coming off a knee surgery. He had a minor scope about 8 weeks ago. He's just kind of working himself back into the mix, into the fold. But he makes scoring look easy. He had an AAU game over the summer where he hit 14 threes in a game for 53 points. And I know it's AAU versus high school basketball, but if you're putting the ball in the hole 14 times from the three-point line in one game, you can score.
And again, he's got that great size for a wing player. And that's, I think, what we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years at GU, like the evolution. Now they're starting to get size at that position where they've struggled maybe in recruiting in the past with that.
Yeah, and I know you guys have touched on Rue as a 4. You know, I think his true position as he gets more and more acclimated is actually at the 3 as a wing.
Oh, that would be devastating.
I would agree with that. That's maybe 2 years away, but he's that type of athlete, and he's got his jump shot is pretty dialed in.
Under 10 here. Norvell Jr. drives, and the block called there on number 4, Aaron Cameron. So with 5.8 seconds to play first half, Norvell Jr. to the free throw line.
Pardon me, Greg. You see Norvell there. He's not just a jump shooter. He's got enough take to his game. Not necessarily a guy with great handles, but he's very efficient with his ball handling. He can, he turns his shoulders, gets around that first defender, and he's big enough to either get to the line or finish around the rim.
Well, he has what I like to call an old man game. You can put him in a half-court game at the Y, a full-court game anywhere.
Is he poking fun at you, Richard?
The ball just...
Again, it's not even one half, Dan. Thank you.
The ball just attracts itself to him, and he's able to easily score in many ways.
Is he similar to what we saw from Byron Wesley a few years ago?
No, it's completely different.
How?
Byron Wesley was a slasher.
You don't
Zach
think
can do a
Zach's
bunch
gonna
of
be?
different things.
Okay. That shot's deep at the horn. So Gonzaga goes to the locker room up by 23, but more importantly, gentlemen, what does Mark Few like about what he saw in that first half?
Look, your depth is clear and obvious. I think you liked some stretches there offensively, particularly with Goss at the point. I don't know how they're going to operate when they don't either have Perkins or Goss out there on the floor. They don't have anybody else who can be a real ball handler for any kind of real minutes. And you see the depth inside. I just think it's going to take some time. If I had to guess, part of the conversation is, guys, be aggressive, look for your offense. You saw a lot of guys pass up shots, whether it be on the perimeter or post players looking to pass it out immediately on the catch. Hey, we need to be aggressive. We need to be playing downhill offensively.
No thoughts, Dan?
No, I've got lots of thoughts. Sometimes you don't like my thoughts, but I was impressed.
Oh, here we go.
I was impressed of the fact that Shamar Karnowski really worked through some conditioning issues early in that first half. I really like the way Nigel Williams-Goss played as well.
I love what you have to say, Dan. That's just not true. Gonzaga, nice first half to get this exhibition season going. They lead West Georgia by 23. Heister along with Dick Au and Fox. We're at halftime at McCarthy Athletic Center. Come on back. And welcome back to the McCarthy Athletic Center now. Gonzaga and West Georgia. The Zags lead at 54-31 after the first half. Greg Heister, Dan Dick Au, Richard Fox. Okay, gentlemen, what do we want to see here in the second half? Right, exhibition, it's all about getting better. So what does Mark Few, Tommy Lloyd, and the staff, what do they want to see?
I'd like them to execute a little bit better offensively, in particular in the high-low set, high post to the low block. I know they were really looking at doing it at times with, in particular, Zach Collins and Jonathan Williams III, but I think in game situations, it's much more difficult and much more productive to work on it now as opposed to in practice. So I would look to see quite a bit of that. And then the second thing would just be continue to get Shemek back in game shape.
Nelson, Williams, Goss, Williams, Karnowski, and Matthews on the floor for GU. And Big Shem with the bucket there, his 8th point.
And what do we see? Right off the bat, high-low action. Jonathan Williams going high, Shemek low, establishing him early in the second half.
Steph Branch with those 3 fouls in the first half for the Wolves. Right at Karnowski, and there's a travel by number 21, Shannon Fowler.
Good job there on the perimeter by Shemek, moving his feet. It's not necessarily easy when you're close to 300 pounds, but that time, keeping the nimble-footed Fowler in front of him, causing the travel.
You say close to 300?
Approaching.
Richard gave me a look like, well, a little
does
bit
that
more.
mean like he's over 300 and he's close to the number 300, or
Pushing one way or the other, I guess.
Okay. Hey, when you're 7 feet tall.
I know, Greg, I know.
Well, I looked at you. People at home couldn't see that. But Matthews buries the 3.
Matthews is going to get a lot of open jump shots. And you know what I like about his game, as you had the foul there on the baseline, is he lets the game come to him. Both he and Norvell have this way about them when they get the ball, they have a real purpose. They make quick decisions, but they're content of moving without the ball, playing on the weak side. They know the ball is going to come to them. They don't have to be primary ball handlers to have an impact.
Off the inbound, Branch with the catch and score.
Great execution there and great finish by Stephon Branch. He's played a heck of a game here tonight.
You see the double.
Matthews again, open 3. Karnowski battles, but this time
and that's the
Fowler
action
wins.
you can get, Greg, because Karnowski's going to force those doubles.
And this foul, I believe, is going to be against Jonathan Williams.
This is a good learning experience and a good test for this Gonzaga ball club. They don't have, at this moment in time in the season, a true leader that can pull this group together and say, hey, you know what? We got to come out in the second half and really kind of put the screws to this team because they don't have a leader yet. This is an opportunity for Nigel Williams-Goss to step up and really put his imprint on this team early in the season.
There's a deep 3. It's off by Karan Briggs.
And part of the reason I say that is, look, some of these transfers in Nigel Williams-Goss, Jonathan Williams III, and Jordan Matthews, they're used to occasionally playing in blowout games, having been in Power 5 conference teams. But if you're part of Gonzaga's program, they hold you accountable from start to finish 40 minutes, and that needs to be the case this season.
Karnowski wanting it. Nelson for 3. That's off. Fowler with the rebound, and West Georgia back on offense. Here's Briggs from 3. That's long. And Jonathan Williams with the rebound. Nice catch. Karnowski left-hand finish. I tell you, it is so nice to see the big fella back on the floor. And that back injury he had last year was devastating.
There was talk about him not being able to ever play again, let alone get back to this level. I mean, there are real concerns about his mobility just on a day-to-day basis. So, on a personal level, I'm thrilled for him as just a solid guy. He gets another chance to finish his career in the right way. It would have been tragic if last year had been it for him.
And people forget what really a national entity he was 2 years ago. And you remember that game in the Elite Eight against Duke and Okafor and how he handled him. And Okafor went on to be one of the top picks in the NBA draft. I mean, this kid at one point in time was the guy, one of the guys at that position in the country.
Defensively, when he is healthy, he is as good as any post player in college basketball guarding on the low block. You're talking about Jahlil Okafor, who was the #1 pick. He's the only player that year, 2 years ago, I remember, actually being able to guard Okafor one-on-one in the block, and that team on defense not having to worry about doubling down or changing a scheme.
And for folks at home, being a great low, post defender is not necessarily equate to getting, blocking shots, stealing the ball. When as a staff, we know the ball goes down low at the 5 spot. We don't have to worry about anything. He's going to lock that down. It's very difficult to score on him one-on-one. He secures the defensive rebound. And more than anything, of all the players on the team this year, he's really the only one who communicates. And it's important to have that with your center because he's your back line. He sees everything. Shem does a great job of that.
There you see affecting that shot. Jonathan Williams just picked up his 3rd personal. Here's Williams-Goss right back to Karnowski. Skipped to Melson. Tipped away by Willie Evans, number 10, and the lay-in at the other end.
As you can see, Gonzaga's making an effort to get the ball in the low block to Shemek a lot early in this half. I would expect him, as he has a nice little drop step hook towards the baseline, to only play a few more minutes in this quarter, or in this half, but them to really try to get it to him as much as possible.
That's 12 points now for Shemek Karnowski. Here's Branch at Melson. Good defense by Sy, but Branch still scores. Branch with 15.
It's a nice player, I tell you what. He's got good length. He's got a decent handle, can knock down a jump shot. Excellent finisher around the rim. It's going to be a big piece for what West Georgia does this year.
Right back to Karnowski. Great catch. Oh, the finish won't go. Shem will shoot free throws when we come back. 15:39 to play. Gonzaga leading at 63-38. Well, I tell you, the time will tell how good this freshman class is for Gonzaga, but looking back over the years, there have been some dandies in 03, Rivio and Morris in 04, Heitfeld and Pendergraft, 07, Day, Gray, Sacre, 11, Pangos, Bell Jr., Dranginis and Spangler, who went on to transfer to Oklahoma. Alberts, Melson, Perkins, and Sabonis all came in together. Guys, this class has the potential to be the best yet.
Yeah, with every freshman class, you get excited about them. Some of them pan out. Unfortunately, some don't. But when you look at this freshman class, you see versatility, you see size, you see length, you see some European international experience, in particular with Tilly, who we've seen tonight and you've been impressed with. You see Rui, who is a work in progress, but I think has enormous potential. But the European that we haven't talked about yet, who is going to be out this whole season, 7-footer from Denmark, Jacob Larson.
They really like him. I mean, you talk to Tommy Lloyd, you look at the 2015 Adidas Next Generation Tournament, averaged 17-7 and almost 2.5 assists. He was recruited by some big-time programs, Marquette, Maryland. He was likely to redshirt anyway. You hate to see him be forced to do so with an injury, but he's another guy, true footer, who's going to have a real impact on this program.
And Tillett just took a shot to the jaw. He's holding his jaw now. As number 2, Christian Houston. He and Tilly collided, but both still on the floor. And there's a foul called on Matthews, as again it was Houston with the catch under the rim.
That was a great execution on the baseline out of bounds there. Gonzaga messed up on the switch. If you're guarding that action right there, you must be on the inside underneath. That time Matthews was not. He got caught on the high side. Houston with a great little back cut to the basket. It's fouled, shooting 2.
You know, it's the first game. There's a lot of improvement clearly this team is going to make, and you can just look at last year's team to see how much better a team can be at the end of the year than they are in the beginning. But so far tonight, you don't see the same level of intensity, speed, and aggression defensively that you saw towards the end of last year. Now, it's likely to come, but right now, I mean, West Georgia is very comfortable on the perimeter with the ball. And you've seen multiple breakdowns on that end of the floor, particularly on out-of-bounds plays. And as a coaching staff, GU has prided themselves on being very difficult to score on underneath out-of-bounds plays. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody molds together on that end of the floor.
Foul called there on Cameron Blakely, sending Zach Collins to the free throw line. Jordan Matthews over talking to head coach Mark Few. And Collins drops it through, and guys, Shemek Karnowski over there on the bench getting a rest. 14 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. I think that's the caliber of return that this coaching staff was hoping to see out of Shem.
I think he's going to have as large an impact as anybody else. I know a lot of these other players, because they're new and fresh and a bit unknown, kind of get a little bit more attention. But the reality is, you're bringing back what was a top 5 center in the country 2 years ago, as Goss goes coast to coast and makes the layup. That cannot be understated. If Shemek can be healthy throughout the year, maybe has continued to work himself back into shape, there are a few teams in the country that have somebody that can match up with him.
Christian Houston kicked that ball out of bounds, so Zag basketballs, you look at Nigel with the rebound and then just took it the distance.
Again, just the luxury of having a guard who can rebound and then pushing in transition and finish with his size.
Here's Tilley.
Coach Few over there talking to one of the officials, not liking the call that it was a travel. Wanted the hand check. I agree with Coach Few. It was definitely a hand check. That should have been called much earlier than it was. And don't forget, this is the ref's first game, too. I know you pointed it out at halftime off air, Greg.
Wow, it's already getting chippy. Guys, come on, I'm running a fever here. I don't have the energy to deal with the team.
Oh, I'm so glad you're sitting next to him, Dan. It is malaria season in Spokane.
Thanks, I wasn't stressed enough,
14:20 to play.
My wife informed me by text I'm quarantined in the basement. I can't have no contact with our kids.
There's the steal and the tip back by Steph Branch.
He does not have any quit in him at all.
He's a good player, guys.
Very good.
10 turnovers for GU, guys.
Part of that is just trying to figure things out offensively. I tell this to people all the time. It's one thing to practice, and now they practice for almost 6 weeks. They get 40 practices, I believe. You can't simulate this. It takes some time, maybe half a dozen games, to really feel like you're starting to get things going in the right direction on both ends. Particularly with a team with 8 new players. It's not as if, as Collins kind of bulldozing his way to the rim, it's not as if they're coming back and only adding 2 or 3 guys. This is an entirely different team than GU's had the last 2 or 3 years.
Zach Collins now with 9 points.
And it's funny, Gonzaga knew last year that they were going to be limited with their depth, but they were looking forward to the ability to have this roster as Houston knocks down a 3 from the corner.
Houston with 5 out of Lithonia, Georgia. Williams-Goss. A rise in connection. And Nigel with 20 points.
And when he's knocking it down from the three-point line, that is a great sign. As a freshman at UW, shot 36% from the three-point stripe. As a sophomore, dipped to 26. It's something that he's shown the ability to shoot it in the past, but it's just not as consistent as you would hope.
So, Dan, how do you figure, as a staff,
That last 3 by Goss.
as you see the last 3 here, just on his own terms, William Goss steps up comfortably, knocks it down. Those are the types of threes he'll be looking to take. How do you balance having Perkins and William Goss out there on the floor together? I mean, tonight it's easy. Perkins can't suit up, but when you're playing in December and in the conference, I mean, who's the true point guard? How do you balance it? You played with Steph.
I think that's a great question, but I think if you look back at Coach Few and Gonzaga's best teams over the past 19, 20 years, as Silas Melson gets in the paint for a nice little floater, is the best teams at Gonzaga have typically had 2 point guards. You look at Matt Santangelo, Quentin Hall, myself, Blake Stepp. Gary Bell could even be considered as a point guard at times because Pangos would play off the ball, or it would be with David Stockton. It's something that will be learned for sure, but I think it's a quick learning curve with both those two.
Look at Tilly and Collins staying with it.
He's got that stick-to-itiveness there on the offensive glass. We talk about his length, but we haven't really talked about his athleticism yet tonight as a 7-footer. Just the ability to quickly get up off the floor. Tilly keeping it alive first, but then Collins keeping the ball high, going up with a finish chance for the three-point play.
Well, I like the emotion. Greg, you and I have talked about that. You know, Zach's a pretty stoic kid on the floor anyway. You know, he plays within himself. You can tell he's concerned about doing what the staff wants him to do, like any young freshman. But right there, I like that emotion. You know, I think that helps a young player make some big plays for you.
Albert's battling for the ball. And there's the miss inside by Dylan Dupree, and back comes Alberts to Norvell Jr. Left hand up, and he'll shoot free throws. Zach trying to get that ball to the rim. He had some big players running through the paint.
Well, he was, you know, Zach was begging for the ball on the other side.
What big guy doesn't beg for the ball?
No. Zach was. Or, I'm sorry. Norvell, pardon me. Yes. Was begging for the ball. That's something he'll learn is, hey, just turn, sprint, the ball will find you.
True.
There's two Zachs. I apologize, boys.
Both freshmen?
Yes.
No apology. You have like 108-degree temperature. I can tell by looking at it. You're white as a ghost, and you've got all of that sweat rolling down your brow.
Okay.
Dickau sitting next to you. I'm worried for his future. 12 minutes to play. I tell you what, Killian Tilly is not the average freshman for Gonzaga. That kid knows how to play basketball. And so does Zach Collins. Watch him with some strength here. He doesn't look that strong, but he just proved you different there. 11:50 to play. Hey, tonight's Smiles of the Game are brought to you by Delta Dental. A healthy smile is a powerful thing. Find the easiest way to take care of your smile at Delta Dental. WA.com with easy online tips and tools to keep you and your smile strong all season long. Brought to you by Delta Dental of Washington, proud supporters of healthy smiles and your Gonzaga Bulldogs. Well, a lot of happy faces in here tonight. Why not? 80-45, and a lot of impressive young players in this floor tonight for GU.
There are. Talking about impressive freshmen, you know, I don't think Killian Tilly was the first guy in this freshman class that fans would think of, but he's definitely made an impact tonight, and I know he has with you and your expectations of him.
I like him. Here's Branch from deep over Matthews at the horn.
He has no fear. On both ends of the floor, he plays the game incredibly hard with a high motor. He is giving Gonzaga problems tonight.
Branch now with 20. Matthews stripped by Branch. And now a 3-on-1 for the Wolves. And there's the lay-in by Christian Houston.
Well, here's this lineup. No point guard on the floor.
Collins got the seal. Got the pass from Matthews and the lay-in there.
Most freshman bigs don't understand how to seal as well as he does. Would you agree with that, Richard?
He's got a really good feel. He's been coached up, you can tell. I mean, he knows where he is around the rim. He does a nice job getting position early. You see right here, I mean, you got to get him the ball there if you're Nelson. And you've seen it here in the second half. Collins has been much more assertive and quick with his moves. On the catch, he's got a purpose right away. In the first half, a little hesitant on his catches, had one turnover, a couple tough shots. He's been much better here in the second half.
Jonathan Williams III, a redshirt junior, grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. Came here via the University of Missouri.
And you know, they've had a lot of great transfers. I don't know if there's anybody who's improved their game more over that period of time than Williams. I mean, the kid was committed. He's put on weight. He's much stronger than he was. I think his game is a lot more balanced. Relied a little bit too much on his athleticism, maybe the three-point shot at Missouri. Now he's got a whole package down low over either shoulder, and you see what he can do on the glass. I mean, he's as good a rebounder as they've had in a long time.
Wild shot there by Houston. Williams runs it down. Jonathan, a big fan of comic books. Loves the superheroes.
Who doesn't, Greg?
Matthews drives, has that shot blocked, 17 on the shot clock.
Well, to touch back on the transfer aspect, I think Gonzaga now has a reputation, as we see Jordan Matthews get denied at the rim. Gonzaga is developing a reputation for being selective with grad transfers that fit well, like Jordan Matthews, who misses the three from the corner. That Byron Wesley's a great example, but taking transfers from high-level programs where it didn't necessarily work out, developing on their game, and seamlessly mixing them in with the current roster. They've done a heck of a job over that over the years.
And that bucket by Williams makes him the 6th Zag in double figures now. And a foul at the other end puts Aaron Ulmer, a sophomore out of Hayward, California, at the free throw line.
It's interesting. Ulmer started his career at St. Mary's. So he is not intimidated at all by coming in here and playing against Gonzaga.
Wolves basketball. Zach Collins did pick up his 4th personal foul a minute ago. 4 fouls, 17 minutes.
I'd like to see Coach Few leave him in there with 4 fouls. That's something that's a big-time learning curve for bigs, and any young player really, is to learn how to play with foul problems.
This is Briggs out to Branch, works on Melson. Blocked by Collins, 7 on the shot clock.
He's got a great feel on both ends. Defensively, he's probably a little bit ahead of where he is on the offensive end. And right there, he lets the defender come to him. Make sure he doesn't pick up that 5th foul, as you talked about, Dan. He's got tremendous length. You look at his arms.
Oh, there's a travel.
Touch back on the defensive point about Collins is, as an offensive player, you're taught to attack a shot blocker by getting into his chest.
Right.
Collins understands he's a shot blocker, and most guards are going to want to attack you in that way. He doesn't let you get into his chest, and he uses his length. And that last possession was a perfect example.
And what a luxury for Mark and his staff. I mean, with either Collins or Karnowski, Collins gets the offensive rebound in the game at the 5. You've got 2 players there. If somebody can leave out there on the floor at all times, that can give you some rim protection. That has not been the case the last 3 or 4 years for GU, despite the talent they've had inside.
Here's a quick spin. Great recovery defensively for GU, though. And the 7th team block in this game. And Matthews from the corner, another 3. Matthews with 14. He's 4 of 8 from behind the arc.
That's exactly what he came here to do, is get out in transition, get to a deep corner, and then knock down threes.
It's the guy who was 2nd in the Pac-12 last year, knocking down over 2.5 a game. His sophomore year, he was 1st in the Pac-12 in three-point percentage. Just a big-time shooter Gonzaga's brought in.
And that's 5 fouls on Zach Collins.
Well, we touched on it a second ago. As a guard, if you're attacking a shot blocking big, what do? You take it right at their body. Steph Branch has been very good for West Georgia here today. That time takes it right into the chest of the defense, drawing the foul.
And that'll bring Killian Tilly in as Branch misses the free throw. So Zach Collins out of the game for Gonzaga. And Collins, I can't see his numbers here because they have it in red. It looks like 16 points, 5 rebounds.
6 of 8 from the field, 2 turnovers. Yeah,
I'd say that's a good debut.
it's a good player, boys.
There's Tilly. And Williams to the free throw line.
But that's something that, as you watch him in practice last year during his redshirt year, he was predominantly left. I would say almost 90% of the time. That time, you can see the effort and the work that he's put in. The left is taken away. He turns back right to his left shoulder to his right hand, and he draws the foul.
I had the same thought.
But Williams, 10 points and now 13 rebounds in 20 minutes of play. And at the free throw line now. And the officials are over there talking about something. And now they're going to go over to Coach Cooney.
Kennel Club behind us doesn't like the fact that they stopped that song in that break in the action.
Whatever just happened, both coaches are happy.
I'm happy too, guys.
And the officials are still going to talk it over some more. Let's do this now. This game brought to you by Star Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC.
It's like they're trying to figure out the foul counts.
Williams drops it through for his 11th point. Gonzaga 23 of 27 from the free throw line. And there's a shot from three for Aaron Cameron. Again, a strange rotation on that shot. Tilly. Nice catch by Williams. Left hand away, and it falls off. Got it back, though. His 14th rebound. And now 14 points and a chance for 15 for Jonathan Williams.
Here's that play.
You see Tilly right there in the middle, gets his hand on the ball, opens up the offensive rebound for Williams. GU up big. We'll be back after the break.
Gonzaga Hoops is brought to you by Numerica Credit Union. Zag fans, show your Bulldog pride with your Go Zags debit card only at Numerica. And welcome back to the McCarthy Athletics Center. 7:36 to play. Gonzaga leading the Wolves of West Georgia 95-60. West Georgia Division II school picked to finish second this year in their conference. A lot of seniors on the team. They won the league a year ago. For head coach Michael Cooney, this is a good team. And Williams off on the free throw, but he's got 14 points, 14 rebounds now in 21 minutes. And that's a deep three that bounces off. And Norvell with the rebound for GU. Oh, Williams slipped. Well, this is an interesting squad out there right now for GU, guys.
Well, we've seen this now 3 or 4 times as Matthews gets held on the drive, and that's the lack of a point guard out there on the floor. And you're not going to see this very often once Perkins is eligible.
I don't think you're going to see it at all the rest of the year. I think if anybody plays spot minutes at the point guards outside of those two, it would be Silas Melson.
Yeah, I would agree with that. A lot like back when you played, either you or Blake were always out there on the floor, but in a pinch, Kyle Bankhead would run the point.
Yeah.
For a short stretch, you knew that he could get you in your offense, but it wasn't a solution.
Well, and he also, Coach Few's searching for that guy that you're talking about. Handle it for 2 or 3 minutes, because what if Nigel is in foul trouble, and what if Josh Perkins gets hot and you want to be able to bring him off screens and give the other team a different look, maybe a second side pick and roll where he's coming off the catch.
Oh, that ball was knocked away, so a legal play there for Aaron Cameron. And there's 15 on the shot clock and a foul called against Jordan Matthews, and this will be his 4th personal foul.
Got to give West Georgia a lot of credit, though, and in particular Coach Cooney, is the fact that they are outmatched at every position, size-wise, athleticism, except for possibly Steph Branch, and they just keep coming. They haven't quit at all. They are going to be right in the mix for the Gulf Southern Conference Championship again this year, and at the D2 level, I could see them having a chance to have a really good season.
Karan Briggs hits both at the line. Albert's running the point. Matthews for 3.
Tell you what, that thing is locked in. It's the same every time. He gets great balance before he lets it go.
Shouldn't be surprised. Son of a coach. It's Killian Tilley gets out on the break.
And they call the T on Tilley.
Now, in Europe, that is not a technical foul. So.
No, and he looks over directly at the bench and looks at assistant coach Tommy Lloyd, who recruited him, and said, "What the heck is that?" And Tommy just shrugged his shoulders and says, "Can't do that over here."
Did you see how easy it is for him? He's a tremendous athlete, can really get up. And he's a quick jumper. You know, that he's got that first jump, but that second jump's almost as good. You see right now, Tommy Lloyd is trying to explain to him why there was a technical foul.
It's not just so much that he hung on it. He did the pull-up.
He pulled himself up too. Yeah.
And we call him thin.
And when I used
He's
to
strong, Dan. He did a chin-up.
When I used to dunk like that all the time, I always made sure I didn't pull up on the rim.
Well, you had to be careful because the backboards would break back in those days.
Yeah, the technology's really improved.
Rui into the game. And with the rebound there, here's Alberts. Norvell from the corner, short. And Tilley with a steal to Norvell in the lay-in. Killian Tilley can play on my team. Here's another steal. Alberts. Norvell for 3. Bang!
These young freshmen are having fun. First time playing in front of this kennel club.
It's going to be a fun year in Zagville, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you talked earlier about, is Byron Wesley a comp for Zach Norvell? And he can slash in similar ways that a Byron Wesley could, but he doesn't have the ability to knock it down from 3 in the way that Zach Norvell does. He's also got one of the best nicknames in all of Gonzaga basketball history. You talk about some good ones in the past, guys like Corey Violette with the nickname Chunk. Zach Norvell's nickname is Snacks, and I don't know where it's come from.
Snacks?
But everybody on the team and in the program calls him Snacks.
So, Dan, you're going deep.
Yeah,
but you didn't ask why.
Like I said, you're attacking me.
You can't give it all to him at once. You know what I mean? It's got to be a process throughout the year. Ladies and gentlemen, we will find out why for sure and bring it to your next broadcast.
Please do.
Thanks.
We'll get our research team on that one.
This team is incredible. I'm sorry, it's incredible.
I think all the pieces are there. I mean, legitimately, this, I think often you come into a year, there's this, hope and all that, but legitimately, this team is 9, maybe 10 deep. All of them are high-level players. I've been super impressed with Tilly. Greg, you've been on that for a while now. And his instincts defensively, we talked about his ability around the rim. And you saw tonight the talent that is Collins and with the shooting that you get with Norvell and Matthews and Perkins when he's back. You know, Josh did a really nice job last year, shot 38% from the three-point line and really took care of the ball and got better as the year went on. You have to think, after having a summer to continue to improve, it's difficult when you've got the talent at the point guard position of a Perkins and a Williams-Goss out there at the same time. It's going to be difficult to slow down this offense.
Here's Dustin Triano to Alberts to Norvell. Shot is long. Alberts the rebound, poked away, grabbed by Norvell. And he threw it to Melson on the bench. And Silas thought about shooting.
Silas isn't in the game.
I know, but he still thought about shooting it. The ball ended up in his hands. Were you guys watching over there when Silas went?
I'm looking at the 5 on the floor, and I didn't see Silas Melson.
I see everything, Greg.
Well, it's going to be one of those kind of years. There's a shot from the corner. Rui with the rebound. Alberts short on that shot, and Branch another rebound for West Georgia. His 5th. Tipped away by Triano. Back comes GU. Bounce pass. Rui! Well, he could have really hurt the rim with that one. Chose not to.
He's, like we talked about earlier, he is a supreme athlete. Learning to play the game a little bit more, but willingness to get out on the break. Alberts with the nice find. Rui finishing it with 2 hands over the top. Might have something to do with the number 21. I'm not sure, but another guy who wore that number couldn't dunk like that.
No. Maybe this. Wham!
He had to get his head out of the way. He almost hit his head on the rim there.
High-level athlete, guys.
That first dunk, though, reminded me of Roney, where he'd always hurt his hands every time he dunked the ball.
Let's go to break. Rui dunked the break.
110-67. Rui Hachimura, freshman out of Japan, 6'8", 225, explosive, and he's going to be a great finisher, ladies and gentlemen.
3, 2.
Let's take a look. The Zags on the road, brought to you by Alaska Airlines. You see Utah Valley next week, and then the ESPN Tip-Off Marathon. Zags on the road is brought to you by Alaska Airlines. Enjoy low fares at amazing places. Alaska Airlines flies connecting Spokane over 100 destinations, including Costa Rica, New York. Book now at alaskaair.com. Greg, back to you.
Thank you, Richard. I just earned gold status with Alaska Airlines. I did.
Not an MVP, or is that part of the MVP deal?
Well, it's above MVP. I was an MVP, now I'm a gold.
Excuse me.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations, Greg.
Thank you. It's one of the great accomplishments.
Does that mean we travel
life.
to Pacific and give me the first-class seat? Or?
You know, I really should. I should feel bad for you. I should feel bad.
But you
for
don't,
you.
yeah.
Norvell fighting his way through the double team there. Great job. They almost had him trapped. Ball into the corner. Dustin Triano has his shot blocked with 12 on the shot clock. Rem Backamus, number 15 on the floor for GU as well. Ryan Edwards, number 25 out there along with Hachimura and Norvell. Edwards and a foul called. And this is going to be against number 5, Cameron Blakely.
Number 5, Cameron Blakely. That is his 5th personal.
Well, we have to shoot the first episodes of Season 8 of the Mark Few Show tonight, gentlemen. After the game.
Thank you for sharing. That'll be, I'm sure, as always, incredibly well done.
You should stop by and say hello is all my point is.
Will it be enlightening?
I was just, I didn't mean to wake you out of your
Who's the interview?
snooze there.
Who's the interview going to be?
Coach Few.
Mark Few.
No, the player interview, obviously.
You know, I don't know yet. I don't make those decisions. I just do the interviews. We're nearing the 3-minute mark. Gonzaga hasn't scored this many points in an exhibition game in 10 years. Branch. There's a shot for 3 that's off by Houston. And Rem Backham is with the rebound, and he's fouled. And this will put Rem at the free throw line.
Kennel Club behind us is excited that Rem, one of the fan favorites, has a chance to get on the scoreboard for the season. But one thing that we didn't touch on throughout tonight's game, unfortunately, is Gonzaga's got a couple players who have a connection to West Georgia, at least Gonzaga players from the past. Jermaine Forbes and Jay Sherrill played on early 2000s Gonzaga teams. They transferred to West Georgia, and they both had really good careers back there.
Tonight's sub of the game brought to you by Subway, introducing the new autumn carved turkey sub available at Subway restaurants. Savor thick slices of oven-roasted white meat drizzled with a sweet cranberry mustard sauce for a limited time at Subway. And tonight's Subway sub of the game is Collins. Collins with 16 points, 5 rebounds in 18 minutes. And a foul before the shot. And Triano picking up the foul there. That's number 1 on him. Norvell. A good-looking shot by that young man. 18 points for him. No look, Dustin Triano right to the rim, try to reverse it, put back by Rui. A good finish over Edwards by Dylan Dupree. Hachimura from the wing.
He's flashing a little bit of that potential now. He's got the ability to knock down shots, but we mentioned it throughout tonight's game. He's still a little bit of ways away, and I think a big piece of that is just the communication factor.
And they have a decision to make. I mean, there's only so many minutes. And you look at Tilly, he seems to be a little bit further ahead, but you see the talent for Rue. And you think about next year having both of them out there on the floor at the same time. Defensively, what those two can do on the wing or at that 4 spot is high-level stuff. Something that you don't see at GU, but for this year, it will be interesting to see what they end up doing. Because I don't think you can have minutes for both, but obviously both have tremendous upside.
Time now to announce tonight's player of the game, presented by A to Z Rental. No job is too big or too small. With 8 convenient locations, we rent everything. Let A to Z Rental be your most valuable player. And tonight, it goes to Nigel Williams-Goss. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. numbers won't count in his Gonzaga career, but it is off to a stellar start. Back a miss for three. That rimmed out. A nice offensive rebound and finish by Tyler Dean, number 24, a redshirt freshman out of Rome, Georgia. Under a minute to play now. Well, gentlemen, has Mark Few gotten out of this game what he wanted?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody got to play. You got to go in a live situation. It's obvious to anyone the tools that he has to work with. It's just a matter of putting it together. As Edwards has a nice quick hook over the left shoulder. But all the pieces are there for this to be one of the best teams this program has seen.
There's the turnover, 32.2 seconds to play.
I concur with Rich. I mean, this team is talented from top to bottom. I think what it's going to come down to is how quickly can they find a leader and how quickly can they gel on both ends of the floor. We talked about a couple times in the broadcast, sometimes it takes longer to gel defensively than it does offensively. They've got enough offensive firepower. They've got enough versatility defensively. It's how it all comes together, and Coach Few's been a master at doing that over the years.
What's the personality of this team? Some teams are loose, some teams, are quiet. What's this team's demeanor or attitude going to be defensively? Are they going to be an aggressive, physical group, or do you really more rely on their athleticism? I mean, these are questions that you won't know until we've got about a month into the season.
And that'll do it. 122-76. Just an exhibition game. But I think what we witnessed tonight is not only a look into the future with all this young talent, but an indication of just how good this thing can be again this year after 2 consecutive runs to the Sweet 16.
Wait, 31 wins on average the last 4 years. We have reached a different level than this program has been to. We were already there. And now it's that last step where you get to that Elite Eight and you win the game. But this program has already taken a jump. I mean, the talent level that they've collected this year, it was not an accident. It was a deliberate process, and it's amazing to see the talent that they have.
And the fact that you didn't know you were getting Shemek Karnowski back either. He was granted another year of eligibility, and he was healthy. They planned this year out without knowing or even expecting a talent like Shemek to be in the mix.
I think my impression was that they presumed that if anybody was going to come back, it would be Sabonis.
Yes.
Because he'd be playing behind Wiltshire and Karnowski. Obviously, that's flipped. And you're bringing back Karnowski. And in a lot of ways, I think Karnowski's perfect for this group. With his experience, what he does is unique. In other words, defensively, he does something nobody else does. He really controls things on that end. And he's going to be able to force a lot of double teams that will open things up for the rest of his teammates.
Tremendous depth for Gonzaga. No player had more than 24 minutes in this game tonight. We're going to take a timeout. We'll wrap it up when we come back from the McCarthy Athletic Center. The final score, 122-76. We've got more in a moment. And welcome back. Our final score, Gonzaga 122, West Georgia 76. Join us Friday night when we bring you more Gonzaga basketball as the Bulldogs tip off their regular season. Tune at 6 o'clock as Gonzaga hosts the Utah Valley Wolverines. It's Gonzaga basketball live next Friday night only on KHQ and SWX, your homes for local sports. For Dan Dickow and Richard Fox and the rest of our Gonzaga broadcast crew, I'm Greg Heister saying good night from the McCarthy Athletic Center. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy those NFL games, and we'll see you next Friday night live from the McCarthy Athletic Center. Good night.